Hey everyone, David C. Anderson here, coming at you from the Knifecenter. And today we're looking at some of the best deals on super steels, and you can find them all at knifecenter.com. Let's check them out. Modern steel technology has grown leaps and bounds in the last couple of decades, and it's changed the way we experience our knives. Today, we can achieve long-lasting edge retention that was unheard of just a generation ago. Remember your grandfather's old pocket knife that was sharpened down to just a sliver of a blade? Well, if his old knife was made with one of these steels, there would still be a lot of usable blade left because he wouldn't have needed to sharpen it so often. The best part of this new crop of steels, though, is a lot of the great options have been coming down in price, making this high performance even more attainable. So we've rounded up 8 knives with 8 super steels, and all of them can be had for less than $150, sometimes even far less. While there are differences between all these steels for sure, in practical uses on these folders, what you can expect is a knife that will stay sharp for a long time, meaning you won't have to break out the sharpener to keep them useful. The first steel we're going to look at is S35VN, shown here on a cold steel code 4. S35VN is the successor to S30V. That steel was the first modern steel developed specifically for cutlery, and it kickstarted the particle metallurgy revolution in knife steels. This new way of manufacturing allows the steel to be more uniform on the molecular level, which is where all of these steels get their performance. The code 4 in S35VN can be had with a couple of different blade options. We like the drop point here for utility. We've also got nice slim handle construction made out of aluminum, and Cold Steel's famous triad lock, which provides a lot of security to this blade. Combine that with some prominent finger grooves, and this makes a great knife for law enforcement or for anyone who needs that same level of durability and performance. Next up is CPM-154, shown here on a Kershaw Leek. This is one of the most well-rounded steels out there today, and you can find it in use from heavy fixed blades down to smaller pocket knives just like this. Now this steel is not to be confused with 154CM. Elementally they're the same, but CPM-154 is made with the particle metallurgy process. And in that process, the steel has gained a lot in terms of edge retention and especially the toughness. The Kershaw Leek in CPM-154 also comes with carbon fiber scales. And it's a nice slim carry with an assisted opening mechanism, and this would make a great EDC gentleman's knife or executive knife. Next up is ZDP-189, shown here on a Spyderco Endura. Now ZDP-189's claim to fame is its high attainable hardness, and that's what allows it to have a very long-lasting edge. This knife, as I said, comes from Spyderco, and they're not afraid to experiment with all the latest steels on the market sooner than many other manufacturers, so you're going to see a few of their knives on this list. We love the Endura design. It's one of their all-time greatest hits, and it's made even better with this steel. And along with its sisters, the Delicate and the Dragonfly, which are also available with ZDP-189, the Endura is great for all-around lightweight utility. Next up, with extremely high wear resistance, S110V is a little harder for manufacturers to work with, but the gain is an edge that just won't quit. And as I said about Spyderco, they're not ones to shrink away from a challenge, and for that reason we get the excellent Manix 2 with S110V. This knife is phenomenal for heavy-duty chores, because it's got an excellent handle with a few different hand positions, plenty of girth to really bear down on that knife, and an excellent lock that keeps your hand out of the way of the blade when you're closing it. Now this knife breaks our rules on price just a little bit, but it's so close that we just had to include it. Next up is CTS-XHP, shown here on a Cold Steel Immortal. Now according to the manufacturer, XHP can be described as either a high hardness type 440C stainless steel or a corrosion resistant D2 steel. Those are both solid budget steels, but XHP takes the best characteristics of both and kicks them into high gear. With the Cold Steel Immortal, we get an excellent tactical design that doesn't sacrifice performance at the expense of its attitude. This knife also transitions well to heavy-duty work thanks to a very large handle. And that broad tip is inspired by old Roman gladius swords, and it gives us an excellent tip for piercing that has a lot of strength. Backing up that blade is their excellent triad lock again, as well as another Andrew Demko innovation in their ambidextrous thumb plate that allows either hand to open the knife very easily, and it can also allow you to open the blade as you're drawing it from your pocket. Next up is Sleipner steel, shown here on a Lion Steel SR2A. Now this steel is considered by many to be another steel that is something like a D2 on steroids, but it has better toughness and chipping resistance than D2. Italian manufacturer Lion Steel uses this steel on a range of their knives, not just on this one, and in their testing they've even found it to outperform some of the other steels that are on this list, despite it being a non-particle metallurgy steel. What's great about the SR2A is it's sort of a fancier EDC design with the chops to transition to heavier tasks. We get Lion Steel's famous integral construction, which looks fantastic, but it also creates a stronger handle because there's no backspacer or screws to get loose. We've also got a nice frame lock, as well as their patented rotoblock system, which can be rotated and hold that frame lock in place to prevent it from being disengaged. Next up is the only other non-particle steel on this list, and that's LC200N, shown here on a Spyderco Native 5. Spyderco is using this steel extensively in their Salt series of knives because this is a truly rust-proof steel, and yet unlike earlier rust-proof options such as H1, LC200N has the edge retention to compete with some of the best steels in the world. The Native 5 Salt is truly a fantastic choice for carrying in any wet environment, and especially when you're around the water such as boating or fishing. It's one of my favorite EDC designs that Spyderco produces, has a nice full handle, but it still carries very easily in the pocket. We get a nice lockback with this knife, as well as excellent edge geometry for efficient cutting. Next up is M390, shown here on the streak from We Knife Company. In the world of production folders right now, M390 is everywhere because it offers the right cross-section of edge holding, corrosion resistance, and machinability to be used in a wide variety of situations. The steel is just now trickling into our price range, and like the steel, the streak has the best cross-section of a variety of uses. It's great for everyday carry, as well as tactical rolls and heavy-duty work without being too large to comfortably carry. We get G10 handles that are nice and comfortable. They're thick enough that you can really throw down on some big jobs, but they're lightweight enough that they still don't weigh down your pockets. Like everything We Knife Company does, the fit and finish is excellent, and we've got great flipping action, meaning you really get your money's worth when you put it down on the streak. As I said at the beginning, you can't really go wrong with any of these steels. They all offer high performance that older steels simply can't measure up to. To get your hands on one of these or see what other great knives we carry in these steels, click the link in the description below to head on over to knifecenter.com.